And then it was James Robinson, but Robinson, who went to Illinois State.
You're listening to Let's Talk Fantasy Football, where men of fantasy genius have realized, hey guys, we don't need real football skills to dominate on the fantasy field. Yeah. So slap on your pads and grab your helmet. Shit's about to get real.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another edition of Let's Talk Fantasy Football. I am your host, Nick Schreck, and joining me tonight all the way from the dark and dreary West Coast. He can't leave his home, guys, but he looks clean and fresh, ready for some Week 1 football. It's your fan favorite, Nick Walsh. Walshy, what is up?
Not much, Schreck. You said it. It is hell on earth out here, but hey, what can you do? That's kind of life right now. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. It's 2020. Quite frankly, Walsh, we're at a point that I didn't think we were going to get to this year. Week 1 of the NFL season is upon us. We watched the Chiefs beat up the Texans last night on Thursday Night Football. Obviously a big night for me. Lots of happiness here. But I didn't think we were even going to get here. Fantasy football, NFL, with all the Corona stuff going on. So big week for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it's necessarily the right idea. Having 17,000 people in a football stadium last night does not seem like the correct idea to me. But I won't lie with everything that's happening in the world. Oh, looks like we got our first appearance from Macy.
Yes, we do. Guest host Macy will be commenting on some things tonight, guys. So I apologize. She turns 1 month tomorrow. So enjoy her commentary and insight.
It's great commentary, but yeah, I won't lie. The watching that game last night, it just felt so good.
We needed it.
It felt incredible, and I can't wait for Sunday. I can't wait for Red Zone. I can't wait to just soak it all in. And then we've got the Sunday night and then 2 Monday night games. It's really just something mentally and emotionally, I feel like I needed, as dumb as that sounds,
No, man, you're spot on.
And it's here. So it was great watching those games last night. If we want to dig into that a little bit, unless do you have a read to do, or are we?
No, read will come through midway, but let's touch on the game real quick. The Chiefs come out, start 1-0, beat up on the Texans a little bit. Clyde Edwards-Helaire here looks great for the rookie running back who people gambled on first-round picks, goes over 100 yards, gets in the end zone. The Chiefs' offense as a whole doesn't look like it's really missed a beat. So if you own any Chiefs stock, it was a happy night. Even, dare I say, David Johnson looked like he had himself a nice little night.
Yeah, David Johnson really looked like he was playing very well. Looks like someone that might work out for the season. And then you said Edwards-Helaire. I mean, he looked so good. He got stuffed at the goal line a bunch, but I think the key takeaway is they had him in there at the goal line. The one issue is they didn't really use him in the passing game, but they also really didn't need to. So,
correct.
We'll see how that evolves throughout the year. But he looked great. The other, I think, big takeaway on the Texans side besides David Johnson was Will Fuller looks like a wide receiver one. He had 10 targets. It was 31% of the target share. And he finished over 100 yards, I believe, on 8 catches. So Will Fuller, if you drafted him, as knock on wood that he stays healthy, but he's looking like a very worthwhile draft pick for where you were able to get him.
Absolutely, man. He was a value. We talked about him on the preview podcast and stuff, and a guy that if he stayed healthy, the opportunity there 100%, and he capitalized on it there against that Kansas City defense. So yeah, I mean, I own him in a couple spots, so I am super pumped on the early performance, and hopefully he stays healthy. Again, time will tell, but I am very hopeful that even better things to come for Will Fuller.
Yeah, definitely.
So with that, Walshy, let's jump into some of the Sunday games, and let's start with the Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. Classic AFC East showdown without Tom Brady playing against the Dolphins, which is going to be the first time in a long time. Obviously, the Dolphins, I'm sure, are grateful for that, but they do get Cam Newton at the helm, and Cam Newton is going to be quite frankly just fine. I do want to ask you, is he somebody that you're interested in as a streaming candidate this week? I know you like to play the wire and look at things. Dolphins, still not a great defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Dolphins' defense is going to be improved. But yeah, Cam, I think is going to be a guy who is sort of generally a streaming candidate just because of his rushing output. So
yep.
If we expect Cam to be able to rush a little bit, then that makes it worth it. Should we start on the New England side of the ball in general?
Yeah, let's
just kind of go through.
Let's start over there.
Okay, so Cam, I'm not going out of my way to start, but if he's your guy, like fine, like might as well. The running back situation I think is interesting because Damian Williams seemed like he was going to be their early down guy, and as they are 6.5 point favorites, like that's a guy you would want to target, right? But now
Absolutely.
he's on IR after getting pinky surgery. So now we're looking at Sony Michel, but Sony Michel's also had his injury problems. So we're in a bit of a conundrum. To me, James White is just kind of the running back to start here in New England until further notice. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, he's still the I think the leader for the backfield leader for snaps. The rest, I think, are just it's too much unknown.
Fair enough. In terms of the wide receivers, we talked about the Dolphins defense and how they're not that great, but their outside cornerbacks are Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. And that's really, I think, one of the best outside corner duos in the league at this point. So to me, Edelman becomes the only play in the pass catching game that you can really even think about. And that was before N'Keal Harry was questionable for this.
Correct.
Week. So Edelman's the guy. James White is the guy. And then Cam, I think, is like a borderline start, maybe a DFS play. Yep. And to me, that's about it on the Patriots side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm with you on Edelman. He gets the rookie cornerback. Definitely an opportunity for some upside. But I am really, like you said, if you want to stream, but for me, it is Julian Edelman and only Julian Edelman on the Patriots side of the ball. So we're on the same page, Walsh. Let's flip over. Let's talk Miami Dolphins football. Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's made 13 career starts against the Patriots. He's gone historically three wins, 10 losses. He's had 21 touchdowns to 22 interceptions. Not great. That plays really New England's defense has a better opportunity here of having a nice week than Ryan Fitzpatrick does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the record as saying New England's defense is going to be significantly worse than last year, but I even don't think this is a good situation to play Fitzpatrick or really any of the Dolphins because of a variety of reasons. I mean, you look at Breda, you would think would be the preferred running back play there, but he's not necessarily a guy who's really produced that much in the pass game, despite that being like his expected role this year. So I'm not really on that as much. And then the one guy that you would be like, yeah, that's the guy, Devontae Parker.
Yep.
Is questionable with a hamstring injury. You know, they said he will play, but
he's questionable with a hamstring injury.
And against Stephon Gilmore, which like I know he blew him up late in the season, but like week 2, he didn't do jack shit against him last year. So
and he was healthy.
Yeah. So I'm not playing Preston Williams. There's been a little bit of rumblings about the Dolphins kind of using like a deeper wide receiver rotation. So maybe not anyone being on the field over like 75% of the snaps, that kind of thing. Like,
yep.
To me, the Dolphins are just a stay away on all fronts for this game.
I'm 100%. We're gonna do a hard pass and let's shift right to pick 'em. Walsh, who are you taking?
Let's go New England. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna sweep it through. Not time to get cute. Maybe with some of these other picks. On to game number 2, Walshy. Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. Let's start on the Cleveland Browns side of the ball.
Okay. I mean, this is a bad matchup for them all the way through. Baltimore's got a really, really great defense. Their pass defense was great last year, and all they did was upgrade the run defense this year. So if you drafted Nick Chubb, which I did in one league, and it was the league in which I did the entire draft blackout drunk, so I don't feel very good about it. But if you drafted Nick Chubb, I mean, you're obviously playing him.
You have to, but it sucks.
I think Kareem Hunt's a pretty viable play, though, because I expect them to be playing from behind. Does that make sense to you?
100%. They're going to fall behind. And I think his opportunity, we've just seen it. I want to say historically, it's really been half a season, but whatever. That opportunity for him is going to be way higher than it is for Nick Chubb this week.
Fair enough. I like where you're at there. So then, talking about Cleveland in general, Baker, I'm not playing against this defense.
No shot.
It's not a way to do it. But in terms of the pass catchers, Odell is a guy you're just not benching because he was like a top 15 wide receiver this year.
It's kind of with Chubb, right? Like you're kind of forced into like where you took him, like you're going to do it and you just hope like he ends up in the end zone or something that kind of works out for you.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry is right on target for a matchup with Marlon Humphrey, who's one of the best overall cornerbacks and definitely one of the best slot cornerbacks in the league. So yep. I'm not doing that unless I need to. And then the other guy we need to talk about is Hoop Daddy, where tight end has such a low floor where I think like Hoop Daddy you can just absolutely roll out there. And apparently him and Baker's chemistry has been great in camp. So if you drafted him like this, you're not picking up someone else if you drafted Hoop Daddy.
No, you had your chance to play the wire in the draft to spin the wheel, and you picked Hoop Daddy. So roll him out there. Yeah, I've seen the term glowing as the connection between him and Baker. So hopefully that continues. Obviously, bad matchup. Ravens surrendering a league low 52 catches to tight ends last year, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I had one league where I was actively trying to wait on tight end long enough to take Chris Herndon, and Hoop Daddy just kept falling. And I was like, I guess I just have to I'm not going to take Herndon ahead of him, right? So
Hoop Daddy knew you were waiting.
Yeah, I guess so. So now I am locked into the Hoop Daddy, and we'll see what happens. Should we move to the Ravens side of the ball?
Slam dunk. This is a home run smash spot for the Baltimore Ravens. Walsh, Lamar Jackson, obviously, if you drafted him, he's a go. Mark Ingram is going to be a go. He's with the team's favorite at home by more than the touchdown. He's a strong bet to hit pay dirt, I'd say, versus Cleveland. Last year, giving up the NFL's 6th most rushing scores to running backs, and only 5 teams yielded more rushing yards to running backs. So, slam dunk home run, Mark Ingram, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. You can go on and on. Marquise Brown, same thing.
Yeah, if you look at the Browns, I thought the Browns defense was going to be improved this year or whatever, but week one, their 2 corners, Greedy Williams and Kevin Johnson, are both not going to play, nor will their safety Grant Delpit, who is expected to be the sort of the tight end stopper. So
yep.
To me, Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews, just like you said, absolute smashes. No reason to go away from either of them, and I would expect big things from both of them. With the running backs, love Ingram, and I think if you drafted J.K. Dobbins, unless you went 0 RB and really need to, because it is a good matchup.
It is.
But wait a week, see what he looks like, see if they give Gus Edwards some carries, just give it a hold on. And you're going to hear that a lot tonight, I think, where we want to see how things play out because we didn't have preseason or any of that. So give it a hold on Dobbins, start the rest of the guys we talked about, and he should be good.
Man, Walsh, I feel like we're on a roll. We're calling things how we see them here so far in 2020, and we're not here for the dance of the bullshit. And I like it.
I agree.
I like it. Let's pick it. I think I can pick it for both of us, but I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Let's sweep it on through. Next matchup, New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo -6.5, over under at 39.5. Let's start on the Jets side of the ball. That 39.5, by the way, is the week one's lowest total, I believe, if I'm looking at the list very quickly.
It's going to make what I have to say sound real dumb.
Go ahead, Walsh. Hit us.
well, Buffalo is my number one DFS stack of the week. Is what I'm going to say. I think what I'm going to do this week is run out 5 lineups total, and they will all be Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, John Brown, and coming back with Jamison Crowder.
Wow.
But I guess let's run back to the Jets in general and talk about them. I'm trying to play Crowder, and that's about it. I don't think anyone else is a good play this week.
Nope. I'm 100% with you.
And I'll say the reason that
Even
I'm
Herndon?
on Crowder. Yeah, and I love Herndon, but
I know.
The Bills were pretty good against the tight end last year. And the reason I love Crowder is that last year against the Bills, he had 17 and 10 targets in his 2 games. And their defense kind of tries to stop the big plays. Okay. So to me, Crowder is the guy who, if you're going to play anyone, he's the one. And that's about it. Even Le'Veon Bell, like if you drafted him, I'm sorry. Because it's not going to work out. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm at on the Jets. For the Bills, I'm on a play all of them sort of situation. I said my stack is going to be Allen, Diggs, and Brown in these large field tournaments. But I think you can play Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. How do you feel about that?
Yikes. Both of them?
Yeah, I mean, the Jets defense is centered around the run, but like I think it's going to be kind of a 50-50 split here, and I really expect the Bills to dominate this game.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They are going to dominate. I agree with the 50-50 split. I mean, Singletary, he's had some, ball security issues, and he's had some blitz pickup errors. We saw kind of coming out of, what little camp we had. Yikes. I don't know. It scares me to say I guess you can roll out both, right? If you own both of them, it's a shit show. It's probably when you first said it, I'm like, I can't put both of these guys in my lineup, but I think that was incorrectly interpreted as if you own either of these guys, you could play either one.
Yeah, and I say that as someone who drafted Zach Moss in every single league that he's in. So
you have no personal stake.
Yeah, definitely no personal stake whatsoever. But yeah, I'm very interested in the way this game turns out. And I'd like to clarify, like, that's my number 1 DFS stack because I think it's going to be very low owned. And then I can basically put the chalk around it and like hope it hits, is sort of where my mind's at. Like, that's not that I think it's like the best play of all time. But
sure. But you're playing the numbers, right? Like you said, if it's not going to be high owned, then it gives you way more opportunity.
Right. So that's sort of where I'm at for that game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing here for you, Walsh. I mean, the over-under scared me a little bit, and it's the Jets. So I don't really like any of the Jets as a whole. I own 0% of the Jets. Herndon maybe long-term, but I'm cool. I'm cool with what you're doing.
And also, I would like to say, if you're going to make some bold calls against like what the spread says, week 1 is the time to do it.
Especially in a COVID week 1 with no off season.
Like what we're saying, we don't know shit about shit, and like Vegas more than they normally do doesn't know shit about shit,
which is rare.
So, exactly. Normally Vegas knows shit about shit, and right now they don't. So, keep that in mind as you go, and I'm sure you'll hear as we continue just like how not confident we are in like almost anything we're saying. but yes.
Of course, it's we're using the limited news we have coming out of camps, out of reporters here on week 1, and unless like when we talk Raiders here, you'll have probably some more insight than I will because those are your guys. But other than that, I mean, we're dealing with a really loaded deck here. In week 1, anybody could really blow up here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna take Bills here. Do you have?
I'm taking the Bills as well. Sweep it through.
All right. Raiders, Panthers. The Raiders are a 3-point favorite with an over/under of 47.5. And I'll start on the Raiders side here because to me, Josh Jacobs should run for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns like in this game. I mean,
I hope so, man. I own a decent amount of them. So
this should be the best game of his year. I mean, Carolina was a terrible run defense last year, and like they didn't get any better. So.
It kind of feels like they haven't gotten better on either side of the ball. I know that's not true, but I feel like they're not.
Their defense, I think, is like 9 rookies and like 2 other players. So I mean, like,
seems reasonable.
They're gonna be like a very, very bad defense. So to me, Josh Jacobs is the smash start of the week this week, where we're a little bit concerned about his pass game usage, right? And I think Correct. That concern should go down a little bit with them cutting Theo Riddick and trading Lynn Bowden. But this should be like the absolute smash spot for him because their rush defense is going to be terrible. I don't think they're going to want to like sling the pig around the entire time, even though they do have these 2 rookie wide receivers starting. And just Josh Jacobs, like in my tournament lineups in DFS, he's almost a lock because I just think the upside is so high here. Could be running back 1 this week, and that's playing in the game with Christian McCaffrey.
Wow, that's some heavy praise, Walsh.
Yeah, I mean, am I off on it?
No, you're not. It's just not number 1 was not quite where I thought we were going to end up in the conversation here, but I respect it, and you're right. It's definitely possible. They're bad.
I mean, going from him to like Derek Carr, I'm not like going out of my way to start, and I don't think you really should because, again, I think Jacobs is really going to dominate this game.
Good QB2.
Yeah, QB2 I think would be fine like for him. But what do you think about Ruggs as a guy this week?
I put Ruggs as he's like I hate to say it because there's absolutely no like statistical basis behind it. Not that we've seen him play in the NFL, but it's like I want to call him like an exciting wide receiver 3. Like he could totally fucking burn you, or like he could totally I think he could totally work out there in that slot. I think his speed and some deep shots maybe here gives him an opportunity. The Panthers lost obviously Bradbury to the Giants. Dante Jackson and Eli Apple are just not great. I just think Eli Apple actually went to the IR. I'm sorry, so he's not even playing. I'm cool with Henry Ruggs as like a wide receiver 3. I think if I own him, some opportunity for Derek Carr to make some noise with him. And hey, it's the Raiders, baby. Some speed, lots of points against a bad defense. It's week 1. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't have Josh Jacobs in any of my DFS lineups, I'll probably have Ruggs in them just to have some sort of exposure to the Raiders, and that's definitely biased. But yeah, I like Ruggs a lot here. I think he's a very interesting play. I think he's a guy you can absolutely play in season long. Do you have any interest in Bryan Edwards? To me, he's just super contrarian, and he might go off, but like I don't think it's really worth it.
No, I think I'm looking at a quote here. It said Carr likened Edwards to ex-Packer and Raider James Jones as a plus-sized possession wideout. But outside of that, no. Could happen, could not. I'm going to own 0.0 chances at that.
Fair enough. Waller, good matchup. Like if you drafted him, you're playing him.
Yep, you paid the price. He's yours. Nothing's going to change there.
And then let's move to Carolina, where I think for me it's CMC and it's DJ Moore, and everyone else is kind of a wait and see.
Do you think Teddy Bridgewater could be a streaming QB option?
Yes, I do, but I don't think you need to because unless you're in like a 2 QB league. If you're in a 2 QB, like I love Teddy Bridgewater as a start this week.
Other streamers you like better.
Yeah, I mean, like I've waited as long as you like possibly can at quarterback this year, and I've still ended up with like I tried to wait like a ton and ended up with like Matt Stafford and Josh Allen. It was just like, yeah, sure,
Great.
So yes, I do like Teddy Bridgewater, and I do think one of Samuel and Anderson is going to have a good game. I don't know which, but for me, if I'm sticking to what I know, CMC and DJ Moore are the plays here. And everyone else, I'm trying to wait and see.
Great. Let's pick it. I'm taking the Panthers.
I'm taking the Raiders.
I had to do it, Walsh. I'm sorry.
No, I knew you did that just because you knew I was going to take the opposite side.
Purely for my boy Teddy. But I actually, if I were to have to put money on it, I would take the Raiders. But I did it for you. So
appreciate it.
That's all right. You always keep me honest, Walsh. I have to return the favor. Let's jump over to the Seattle Seahawks at the Atlanta Falcons. Seattle -2.5 over under of 49. This has got shootout written all over it. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, like it's a definite shootout potential. The Seattle defense, I don't know if it still has like the stigma of being good. It's not. And Atlanta's defense definitely doesn't have the stigma of being good. And both of these offenses are good. So yeah, we're looking at a potential shootout here, and it's going to be interesting. Should we start with Seattle?
Yeah, let's start with Seattle. I mean, look, Russell Wilson, you drafted him, you're starting him. Nice matchup. We're hearing, that they may give him the opportunity to open things up. So obviously you own him. Great. You're rolling with him. I'm not worried about, whispers of Carlos Hyde or even rookie DJ Dallas.
I kind of am.
I'm not here. I'm not in week one. Maybe long term. At the current moment, I'm not worried about Chris Carson immediately.
Okay. I think you're right in this. This is a good enough matchup where even if they do take some work, I don't think it should matter.
Correct. I think there's too many points. I think there's too many moving variables. Again, as we referenced this week one stuff going on. But yeah, I think Chris Carson's going to be fine here. He's a safe running back too.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you there. What I like in this offense is Lockett and Metcalf. I mean,
baby,
jeez, just line them up and watch them knock it down for those two guys in this game.
It's like we said, shootout, baby. You own either of them, you're playing them. There's no questions asked.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's really no third wide receiver of competence. I want to say that can really take anything away.
Dorsett is questionable, I believe. Philip Dorsett, that is. I think it's questionable to even play. And, Josh Gordon hasn't been reinstated, so, fucking whatever.
Yep.
It's those two. And then were people drafting Greg Olsen? I don't think so, right?
I want to say no.
Okay. In my head, I think he's probably going to be fine in this matchup. But also no one drafted him, so there's no reason to really do it. And I don't think it's a good DFS play either.
No, it's not worth it. There are other options you're better off throwing that dart at. Let's look the other side of the ball then, Walsh, because I think for the most part we're going to be on the same page on this side as well. Matt Ryan opens up against the Seahawks defense that last season ranked bottom 3 in sack rate and dead last in QB hit rate. He's a high floor QB1 with a shootout potential. I mean, I think he's a locked and loaded in your lineup if you own him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you drafted him to be a starter if you did. So Matt Ryan is absolutely in there. I mean, Julio and Calvin, you're absolutely both starting.
Yep.
And then I think Todd Gurley, you have to be starting and definitely pay a lot of attention to the split in workload with Todd Gurley. But go
ahead.
Well, I was just going to say those four guys, you have to be starting. There's no questions about it.
Yep. There's no question. Like you said on Todd Gurley, very interesting. I think next week when we get on for the recap and previews to see how some of these guys fall, right? Are we talking more about Chris Carson in that situation? Is Todd Gurley still healthy? Are they splitting some of those carries? So again, week one is going to be super interesting, I think, for the future.
Yeah, and I have 0 Hayden Hurst, but I guess if he's a person that you went after, he's also a person that you're starting. So just kind of roll with it there.
Yep. It's a targets galore game. I am going to take the Seattle Seahawks.
I will take Atlanta.
There we go. Back-to-back splits, Walshy. Wow. All right, let's talk the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington football team. And I was confident I was going to mess that one up as we went into it, but I
did it, dude.
I did it. That was my goal this week, to nail that. And that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We are Let's Talk Fantasy Football, and but really, let's talk Eagles and Washington football. Let's start on the Philadelphia side of the ball, Walshy.
Just really confusing because Miles Sanders is questionable. He theoretically should be a great matchup for this, but I don't know what to do with him there. At the quarterback position, I guess you're playing Wentz. And then at the wide receiver positions, you've got Deshaun Jackson, and then apparently Jalen Reagor is going to start. You've got J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Greg Ward still in the mix there. I don't know what the fuck to do with any of those. You're playing Ertz. Goddard has a hairline fracture in his thumb, so I'm not fucking playing him.
Yeah.
The Eagles should be a smash, I feel but I just don't know what to do with them.
There's too many question marks. You're right. I mean, again, Miles Sanders, if he goes, he's in your lineup. I'm a big Deshaun Jackson guy. again, I think, like you said, with it being a smash, I like to believe. Again, I thought that Jalen wasn't going to go, but obviously that has obviously moved the other way on me. But Deshaun Jackson, I think, just I don't know, with his speed, upside, everything else. I think if you want the revenge game narrative, you can go for it. He went 8 for 154 and 2 last week one. And not that that's indicative of what's going to happen here. But
that's the last time he played.
Well, that's true, but now he's healthy, right? So you got to get your points in while he's healthy. And so maybe that's week 1, week 2. I am playing him places as a wide receiver 3, and I feel good about it.
Yeah, no, I think if you have him in your season-long leagues, you should start him. I think in DFS he's going to be a little bit over-owned.
Yes.
But that's like a kind of a discussion for another day. But yeah, I mean, in this passing game, you should be playing Jackson and Ertz, and that's about it, I think.
I'm with you. Let's talk flip side of the ball. The Washington football franchise. Dwayne Haskins leading the charge. Yikes.
It's McLaurin, and that's it.
Yes, it is.
Right? We can get it like keep an eye on what Logan Thomas does at tight end. Keep an eye on the splits in the backfield between Gibson, Barber, Love, and McKissick. But it's McLaurin this week, and that's literally it.
See, Walsh, this is why I love you. You keep me on track because I would have railed about guys that were not relevant. So it's perfect. Let's pick it, and I think it's a smash. It's the Eagles. So we sweeping it?
For sure. Sweep
it on through, guys. One more game before the break. The Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. Mitch Trubisky is announced, Walsh, as their week 1 starter. I guess they're holding out some hope that Trubisky can turn into can be the guy despite the Nick Foles saga.
So I realized this because me and you were both on Foles to start.
Yep.
It's because if you start Foles, you can't go back to Trubisky, but if you start Trubisky, you can go to Foles.
You're right. You're right. You essentially give up all hope on Trubisky if you don't start him here.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But it is what it is. Again, we both like Foles better. And we're both, I think, still right. We just, on a technicality, are going to lose.
It'll just take a couple weeks for us to be proven right.
Hey, there it is. We're in for the long haul, Walsh. It's not the short-term wins for us. David Montgomery's got the groin injury. His availability still remains up in the air. Tariq Cohen. Do you think that he can have himself a nice little, maybe a DFS day here?
So not for me because I'm playing in tournaments and I don't think his upside is high enough.
Okay.
I think if you're playing like cash games, like maybe, but like to me, what Tariq Cohen is if you went 0 RB in your season long draft, maybe you start Tariq Cohen this week. And I don't think he's really anything more than that to me. And it's also looking like David Montgomery is likely to play this week.
Yep.
Which does not make him an attractive play. It just destroys anyone else there.
Correct. Yeah, Tariq Cohen, it's really just about the potential passing game, right? Only the Chiefs and Texans yielded more receiving yards to running backs than Detroit last year. So that's the upside in Tariq Cohen. But like you said, David Montgomery, even if he goes, does not make him a viable option at all. Receiving game, Allen Robinson, high floor wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I mean, would 15 targets surprise you this week?
I would take the over.
And then what do you think about Anthony Miller? Because I know you're a fan of him in general as a player.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like you had something else there now.
All I was going to say is that he theoretically has a good matchup where the only other threat for targets is really Robinson because I don't think Jimmy Graham is going to do jack shit at the tight end.
No, I agree. I've been a big Anthony Miller guy in the past. I actually don't own any shares this year, at least currently. But the season is young for that. He went 9 for 140 and 0 touchdowns last week 13. I think he could be a wide receiver 3 in some PPR leagues here based on obviously that volume. He runs most of his routes inside where he's going to get Coleman, who is a playmaker, but he gives up a lot of plays. So I think that Miller could actually have himself a nice day here depending on what your matchups and options are. Wide receiver 3 flex for me.
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it there.
And like you said on Jimmy Graham, I mean, get lost.
There was reports out of like Bears camp. It's like Jimmy Graham is having the best camp. It's like, well, that must mean everyone else fucking sucks. Because I do not buy that shit.
If that's all you guys can report on, then we got real fucking problems.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's flip over and talk on the other side of the ball, Walshy. And let's talk about the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford obviously comes out, does his thing. He gets Chicago and then Green Bay week 1 and week 2. Not great matchups to start.
No, I mean, I was a big proponent of drafting Stafford, and I don't mind these matchups. But what's really kind of shaking me is that Golladay is doubtful right now.
Yes.
So to me, it means fire up Marvin Jones. And supposedly Marvin Hall is a guy who's going to replace Golladay, who the beat writers are a little high on, but I wouldn't put any stock into that until he does something. But yeah, I mean, like I'm firing up Jones. I'm probably downgrading Stafford. And then do you have any confidence in like Amendola?
No.
Me neither. Nope. Okay, good.
He scored 50 yards in 4 15 games. No confidence. I agree. It's Marvin Jones who's going to have himself a really, really nice day. I mean, I think the biggest question mark here is Hawkinson. Like a fringe tight end 1, I think.
I mean, if you drafted the Hawk Daddy, then you're playing the Hawk Daddy, right?
I mean, you're right. I ask it like it's a question, but everyone drafted their guys at this point. Like for week 1, nothing's changed.
Yeah, I avoided the Hawk Daddy as a late round tight end, but now I'm kind of wondering if I shouldn't have shouldn't have.
Shouldn't have.
Yeah, that was correct. Because this seems like a great situation for him. So I'm intrigued by the Hawk Daddy. I'm willing to pick up the Hawk Daddy if he has a good week. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at there.
All right, well, with that, who are you taking?
Wait, we didn't talk about this backfield. Don't start any of them. They are all like it's all an insane clusterfuck. And now with that, Schreck, who are you taking?
See, I immediately just went past it because I'm like, I can't do this. I am. Yikes. Who's favorite here?
Detroit's the favorite. Don't make me take the Bears. I'm not going to take the
Bears. I'll take the Bears, Walsh, so you don't have to.
All right, I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah, yikes. Either way, this is a disaster of a game that I hope I don't see any of on Red Zone.
Yeah, no.
Let's keep it 3-0 and call it a day. But with that, Walshy, let's do a quick live read. And then we will take a quick break, and then we will be back to talk the second half of this week's games. So, guys, this year we're coming to you courtesy of MyBookie, which I know, as I've shouted out in the past, is Walsh's go-to gambling. I know you spent some time on MyBookie last year. But the winning season returns at MyBookie. The winning season means doubling your first deposit. Winning season means insane props, epic bonuses, and the craziest cross-sport wagers. At MyBookie, winning season means watching live sports and betting live sports all season long. Rejoice, the NFL has returned. That means action-packed Sundays and huge cash prizes. Get in on the action and use promo code Let's Talk and double your first deposit. New players get up to $1,000 in free play, designed to add more excitement to the sports you love and the games you bet. Bet with the best in the NFL this season for your chance to win big. Use promo code Let's Talk and double your first deposit. Your winning season begins today, only at MyBookie. All right, guys, and we are back again. That is MyBookie. Use promo code Let's Talk to get up to $1,000 sign-up bonus. So get on that, guys. But more importantly, and as much as we love the guys at MyBookie, more importantly, is part 2 of the preview podcast here, guys. And we're going to start with the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Indianapolis is favored by 8, over under a 45. Boy, oh boy, do I wish Vinny was here for this part of the podcast. But we'll get into that as we start on the Indianapolis side of the ball. Walsh, let's skip right over QB Phillip Rivers. High efficiency, low volume outing for him coming here. It's going to be all about the running game. And I think you can start Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor are both here with confidence.
Yeah, I mean, the most likely outcome in this game is that Indianapolis just dominates in the running game, like runs the ball maybe like 40 times. And that's about it. Like, Jacksonville kind of does what they can do from there. And that's about it. So if there is a week to start both Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor, it is this week. So yeah, 100% start the both of them with confidence. If you drafted TY, you're definitely starting him.
100%.
If you drafted Pittman and Campbell, fucking wait a little bit. And then did people draft Jack Doyle as like a starter?
If they did, they shouldn't have.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not going out of my way to start him. It is worth noting that Trey Burton is out for a while, so he's like kind of the guy. But again, like the Colts theoretically should be running the ball 40 times this game. So there you go.
Walsh, my only question on the Colts is, would you have drafted Marlon Mack in the 4th round?
No, Vinny, I would not have.
There it is. It's officially on the record. That's all we wanted, guys. We can end the podcast here. That's our second big moment of the night. Let's I agree with you on everything here. Let's flip over and talk Jacksonville Jaguars side of the ball. The running game is a disaster. Obviously, Fournette gone. But you got Chris Thompson, who comes in as the top play in Jacksonville's backfield. They're going to be chasing the Colts points wise. And Chris Thompson is the guy, quite frankly, among NFL running backs last weeks 1 through 5, before Jags offensive coordinator Jay Gruden was fired by Washington. Only Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler had more running back receptions than Chris Thompson. So, I'm cool with this. Indy's zone defense hemorrhaged a league high 109 receptions to running backs last year. Chris Thompson is a guy who should have himself a nice little Sunday.
Yeah, he's a sneaky good start, and he's a guy who I was able to actually pick up yesterday, like on a waiver wire. Yeah. So he might not even be owned in your league.
I think he is available a lot of places because people didn't know where to go with these guys.
Yeah, and it in fairness, it's been very confusing. It was when Fournette went down, it was Raquel Armstead, and then he went to the COVID list, and then it was Divine Zigbo, and now he's out with a hamstring injury. And then it was James Robinson, but Robinson, who went to Illinois State, he is an early down running back, and Chris Thompson is a passing down running back who has a history with Jay Gruden. Chris Thompson's like, I think like PPR points, like a lock for 12 and likely for like 15.
For a guy you can take off your wire today.
Yeah, it's really wild. It really is very wild. So if Chris Thompson is available, please go get him. And if you're struggling for running back, or if you did like the one elite and wait strategy that I advocated, or if you went 0 RB, like Thompson's a guy you can work with. The rest of the Jaguars situation, I think, is DJ Shark is a start, and then the rest of their wide receivers are a wait and see, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's only DJ Shark.
What about Tyler Eifert? You got any interest there?
Do I have any interest? No.
Fair enough. I don't really either, but I am interested in him. Like if he gets 6 targets this week, color me intrigued. Yeah.
I agree. I'm looking at some of the stuff here, and it's like, he actually, based on volume, could end up being okay, but he's got to break Walsh's threshold of 5 targets, baby. That's it. It's all about the 5 targets for you.
All right. I am taking Indy.
I'm shocked, but I'm also going to sweep it through on the Colts. Let's keep this thing going, Walshy. Green Bay Packers at the Minnesota Vikings. Starting the Green Bay side of the ball. You shouldn't be starting Aaron Rodgers.
This game is weirdly symmetrical.
You should be playing Devontae Adams. You should be playing Aaron Jones. And that's all I have on the Packers side of the ball.
Yeah. When I said weirdly symmetrical, it's that you should be playing Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Dalvin Cook, and Adam Thielen. So you should be playing the feature back and the number 1 wide receiver for each team. And then you should be keeping an eye on Irv Smith and Justin Jefferson a little bit on the Viking side. And then maybe if you're really interested in deep shit, like you should be keeping an eye on Robert Tonyan on tight end for Green Bay, but like don't worry about that too much. I think the main points are number one running back, number one wide receiver for each team, and forget about the fucking rest of it.
You know, it's funny. As I'm like looking here, I'm like I wonder if he's going to bring up Irv Smith, because I know you and Vinny decided to have a little. Was it? Did you make a bet on Smith? I don't remember now. I know he was a point of contention.
I don't remember if we made a bet, but I definitely brought him up as a thing. So
you did. It's Rudolph versus Smith, and you were giving him 20 points.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. God,
yep.
I get aggressive on these things.
You do get aggressive. Yep. Because when I listened to it, I went back. Like a couple of them I've thrown down in my notes, and I was like, that one needs to get written down because that's aggressive.
Because someone said something stupid.
I actually wrote in here about our Trubisky versus Foles prediction. And I also have the Hopkins over 150.5.
Right.
For you guys. So, Rudolph versus Smith, and you were given 20 points. So, what was it? Did you give 20 points or did he give 20 points? I think you gave 20 points.
I would assume I was giving 20 points because I am very about Irv Smith this year. But again, not something you need to worry about right now. Worry about the number one running back, the number one wide receiver, and then forget about the rest.
There it is. And give 20 points, baby, because it's worth it. It's a fucking lot. Let's pick this game. I'm taking the Vikings.
I'll take the Packers.
There it is. Nice little split. On to our next game, Walshy. The Los Angeles Chargers, still weird to say, at the Cincinnati Bengals. Chargers -3 over under of 42. Let's start on the Chargers side of the ball with Tyrod Taylor. Underrated streamer and DFS play here?
Not really for me. I mean,
okay.
I love my Ty God. You know how much I love my Ty God.
I know you do.
But I want to give it a couple of weeks and see how this works out. I really think the Chargers are going to slow the game down a lot. Okay. And I don't really know what they're going to try and do. I know Cincinnati's defense is bad. It's theoretically a good matchup.
Yep.
To me, the only start that I'm really trying to make on the Chargers side of the ball is Austin Eckler.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see and want to wait and see how the Justin Jackson, Josh Kelly sort of situation plays out behind him. But Austin Eckler is a great start. And then looking to Keenan Allen, not a guy that I'm going to sit if I drafted him, which I don't think I did in any leagues.
Yep.
But with Mike Williams not expected to play, I wonder if they're going to kick Keenan Allen outside a little bit where he doesn't do as well as in the slot. I wonder if they're going to play more 12 personnel. There's a lot of unknowns here, really, with the Chargers, and unknowns that I'm not really trying to fuck around with.
I think you have to prefer Hunter Henry, right? Especially if they go to the Keenan Allen goes from the slot to the outside, kind of keeps Henry on the field almost all the time.
Yeah, Hunter Henry's completely fine. And if you drafted him, absolutely, you're starting him this week. He's just not a guy that I really saw any part of in drafts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't own any of him either, but particularly in the matchup and the opportunity, he's a slam dunk start, I think, with Austin Eckler.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Let's go to the other side of the ball. Let's talk Vinny's Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, according to camp reports, is everything the Bengals expected and more. So we'll see what happens here. Wait and see approach in week one. Joe Mixon is a slam dunk start here. You drafted him. You're playing him. That Chargers defense is it's not great.
I mean, I like the Chargers D, but I think no matter what, Mixon's in every week play. He's one of those few running backs who you can really trust for this kind of thing. So very much with you on that. Very much with you on Joe Mixon. In terms of the rest of the offense, if I had to play a wide receiver, it would be Tyler Boyd, but I'm sort of in the wait and see situation for the rest of these guys as well.
Yep, I agree. It's only Joe Mixon for me.
I did put a bet on Joe Burrow to win Rookie of the Year at plus 300 today, though, because his odds went up because Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's odds went down to plus 175 or whatever, and I was like, no, fuck this. Let's put some on Burrow. So So we got that.
Okay. All right. Well, so you still love yourself some Bengals, especially with money involved.
I can't get away from him.
Vinny's been fighting his whole life, Walsh, and he's still losing. So
yeah, seriously.
Me and
Vinny both like overvalue each other's teams because we're like such good friends, and I think that's like an issue that we both have. But anyway.
Hey, admitting it's the first step to recovery, Walsh. So you're making some good progress here.
I'll take the Chargers here.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Chargers. Sweep it through. Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco's -7, over-under of 48. And let's start on the Arizona Cardinals side of the ball. Kyler Murray, QB 8 and QB 6 last year against the 49ers. Yeah, you're starting Kyler if you drafted him.
Yeah, I mean, if you drafted him, you drafted him as your starter. And like you said, he kind of had some deceptively big weeks last year against this Robert Saleh defense. So, yeah, Kyler's a guy that you're not just going to sit at this point. And I think the questions beyond him are interesting, though. So Kenyon Drake is a definite, right? I mean,
correct.
Obviously you're playing him. And then obviously you're playing DeAndre Hopkins, though you know how low I am on him.
Yes.
I think Christian Kirk is like an interesting dart throw in DFS tournaments, but beyond that, I'm not on any other Cardinal.
Yeah, I think Christian Kirk is the only pick. If I was forced to play somebody, it's Christian Kirk. But I wouldn't do it unless I had a gun to my head. I do think he was drafted, but Chase Edmonds remains a mustache because if Kenyon Drake doesn't stay healthy or for whatever reason it's not what we thought he was. Incredible value, and I think he has a shot at standalone value. We'll see. It's only week 1, but I think he could be worth something. I
took Edmonds in at least 3 out of the 4 leagues that I'm playing, and I'm very much on the same page with Edmonds. But yeah, I think for this week, it's a very limited amount of Cardinals that I really want, despite that kind of high over under. On the San Francisco side of the ball, though, it's very interesting because Debo is out. Ayuk is questionable. George Kittle is going to fucking fuck this defense up, right? Or am I like...
I want to know how Jimmy G and George Kittle is not your favorite stack of week 1.
It's because of how much I like Josh Allen and how much I want to like just fucking go nuts on John Brown and Steph Diggs and like deep passes and shit. But
okay.
But I mean, like, I still have room for a tight end in there, and it's probably going to be George Kittle if I can afford him, you know?
So who else are you rolling out there? Nick Schreck and every other lineup opening you have? Because that's all you can afford.
Outside of Kittle, I'm liking Kendrick Bourne in this matchup, and I know, you know, it's kind of like it's kind of unsure what's going to happen behind those guys, but to me, Kendrick Bourne is a guy who's done it before, and I think if you're like a little bit desperate, or if you just didn't draft the necessary wide receivers, I think Kendrick Bourne's like a pretty good start this week.
I mean, the target's got to go someplace, right?
It's Kittle, and then who else? Trent Taylor, Dante Pettis. Like, I mean, fuck off.
It's not going to Mostert, so yeah, you're right.
Yep. Maybe Jerick McKinnon, like if you really want to.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I never would have even crossed my mind, but I was holding out hope for Debo and Ayuk, but Kendrick Bourne is probably the biggest beneficiary.
I mean, he was the number 3 wide receiver in their camp behind those 2 guys that are hurt. So
he did end up in the end zone in both games against the Cardinals last year. Not that should have any bearing on your decision, but it is fun to note.
Yeah, throw him out there. It could be worse.
It could be worse.
For running back for them, I don't trust anyone, and I don't want to play anyone. Do you have other opinions there?
I'm fine with Mostert as your flex, if that's who you decided was your best option on your roster. I wouldn't trust anybody else, but I'm okay if you wanted him as your flex. Not a running back. I wouldn't feel good at a running back too, but at a flex, if that was your best option, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Let's pick it, Walshy.
I will take Arizona.
Wow, 49ers for me. I'm going to take the safe money. Tampa Bay Bucks at the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans -3.5. Over under of 45. Let's start on the Tampa Bay side of the ball because how do you not? Essentially off-season winners as they go and get Tom Brady, Gronk. There's a lot of big names, a lot of offensive players. Macy agrees. A lot of upside here. For this Bucks offense, quite frankly. I think Mike Evans, and I don't have in front of me the latest news, but he was either questionable or doubtful for Sunday, correct?
Last I saw, he was doubtful. And this is going to be wild for this team, but
okay.
Oh, Mace.
Oh, that's okay, girl. I know you like Mike Evans, but it's okay. Okay, here you go. All right, she's back. I talked her off the Mike Evans ledge. She's ready to listen.
So for me, this entire team, I want Chris Godwin, and that is it.
Yeah. I think, the upside long term, I think there's plenty of other options. But, yeah, I agree. Godwin's the only one you could trust.
Look at the amount of tight ends they have. I know people drafted Gronk, but, O.J. Howard's still there. Cameron Brate's still there. I don't know. And then at the running back position, we thought we had, some sort of idea with, Rojo and Keshawn Vaughn and LaShawn McCoy. But now we have Leonard Fournette and Rojo and Keshawn Vaughn and LaShawn McCoy. Dare is gone. But, dude, Godwin's the only one that I can be confident in.
You're right. He's the only one you could have. The running game is a disaster. And absolutely. Even if you get a decent showing from somebody here, it's still a freaking disaster as we go into week 2. I agree. Chris Godwin is the only one you can trust in the offense. Sad.
Yeah, I mean, with an over-under of 48, you want to have more than one person for a specific team, but I just don't see it.
Not with confidence. Let's flip and talk the other side of the ball. Drew Brees is Drew Brees. I feel like you have better options than Drew Brees, but I guess depends on your team.
Very much agree.
Alvin Kamara, obvious start. Latavius Murray continues to interest me, but I don't think I'm there yet to tell you to put him in your lineup in week 1. But he averaged 8.4 touches last year, so when Kamara was present. So I think important to note, I don't think I'm there yet for him to be in your week 1 lineup. Do you disagree?
No, I don't think you can start him.
Important to note. Michael Thomas, I just don't see it. Guy's got no talent.
It's a bad matchup, but who fucking cares? There's 3 guys here. It's Thomas, Kamara, and Cook. It's it's a bad matchup, but who fucking cares? And Cook to a lesser extent, but Kamara and Thomas. It's just it is what it is from there. So, Kamara in particular, I think is going to be one of my DFS go-tos in terms of a guy I think might be a little bit under-owned and a guy with a very, very high upside in this over-under of 48 game. I know the Bucs had a very good run defense last year, but I'm not entirely sure I have the statistical backup to really get through it. But for some reason, I am drawn to Kamara in terms of a week 1, just a guy who might go off this year.
It was your first love, Walsh. You can't let go.
I've literally never been in love with him before, but it might be the thing. Yeah, this year just might be the time for it. So we'll see.
Sweet deal. You got anything else here?
No, that is it.
Well, let's pick it. I'm taking the Saints.
Me too.
There it is. That one was easy. We are on to the Dallas Cowboys at the Los Angeles Rams. Dallas -3, over under of 51.5. Sunday Night Football. Let's start with the Dallas side of the ball.
This one's easy.
Go ahead, hit me.
You start Dak, you start Zeke, you start Cooper, you start Gallup, and I think you start CD too.
CD. Okay, that's the only one I was not. I mean, you said I think, so I'll give you that. I agree. Slam dunk and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't blame you for like benching or not starting CD rather,
Yep.
but I think it's a good matchup for him. I think the Rams are a little bit weak in the slot, which is where you would project him to play.
Yep.
And he's good. Is like
He
my
is good.
thinking is he's good. So for me, you're starting all of them, and I don't even hate Blake Jarwin, but I don't think you need to by any means.
Correct. I think he's projecting about 6 targets or so, which technically meets your threshold. But yeah, I think you're going elsewhere in week 1 for sure. Flip side of the ball, Walsh, hit me. You've got this all. You ready to rock?
For the Rams?
Yep.
I'm playing Cup. I'm playing Woods. I'm playing Higbee because you drafted him to play him, right?
Yep.
If you did that. Other than that, I think the running back situation is very murky. I drafted Cam Akers in certain situations thinking he was going to be the guy. It seems like he's not going to be the guy. Yep. Like they've talked up Malcolm Brown a little bit ahead of him, which is bizarre to me because Malcolm Brown is not a good football player. And then the other wide receivers, you're kind of like looking out for formations between who plays, whether it's Van Jefferson or Josh Reynolds, or whether they're playing 12 formation with Gerald Everett in there. So to me, it's Cup and Woods for sure. You don't need to play Goff. You play Higbee, and that's kind of it. Am I off there?
No, I think you're spot on, and it does suck about Cam Akers because you took him in our league of record, correct?
Yeah, I think I took him in like the 5th or 6th.
You took him a pick right before me because I remember I was like, oh, it was between Cam Akers and I don't remember who I ended up taking.
I think it was J.K. Dobbins who you took right after.
That was it. Yep. I was like, I honestly was like, I'm going to take Cam Akers and I'll take Dobbins on the way back. And you took Akers. I'm like, well, I guess that makes that easy. I guess I'm going to take Dobbins. And I'll have to go back to my board and see who I'm going to take on the way back. So, yeah, I mean, again, I own him in a couple places because I expected him to be the guy. So not the news we were hoping for going into week 1.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this game in general because I think it will be very fun, but I don't have a lot of grasp on the actual like projections for the game.
Yeah. We go with the safe options, Walsh. We let everybody else roll the dice.
Yeah.
Let's pick them.
I'm taking Dallas.
I am too. Big win on Sunday Night Football for the Dallas Cowboys. First game of Monday night, Walsh. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the New York Giants. Pittsburgh -6 over under 46.5. Let's start on the Pittsburgh Steelers side of the ball. Big Ben obviously comes back from elbow surgery recovery. If you I'm sorry, I lost my place here. If you own James Conner, you're playing James Conner. He gets a smash spot against the New York Giants.
Yeah, James Conner is a great play there, and he's a guy who I think has kind of been undervalued throughout the entire offseason, where he was getting drafted with like the Todd Gurleys and the Chris Carsons or whatever.
Yep.
I think he was kind of in the range of like the Joe Mixons and the Miles Sanders as opposed to that previous range. And I didn't draft him, but I was also avoiding all running backs from the 2nd to like the 5th round. So
yeah, I mean, hindsight 2020, James Conner was underdrafted for what I expect out of him.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be a guy who I think is going to be a value. But in general, the Steelers in this game, I think are going to be valued. Like if I drafted Ben, I would be playing Ben.
Yep.
If I took Juju, I mean, obviously you're playing Juju. Deontay, I think, is a great call here. I even think James Washington might be a sneaky like DFS, like
cool
less than 1% owned.
I'm cool with that.
Go for it in this sort of situation. And then Eric Ebron, I know it's a new team, and I know Vance McDonald is still there, but Eric Ebron's a great pass-catching tight end and is right there. So,
and the Giants are bad against tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I'm going to take advantage of that, but it's interesting nonetheless.
It is tempting. I'm with you, and you know how much we love Ebron on the podcast. Big Ebron believers.
Yes, absolutely. So we're recording this on, what is it, Friday, the 11th, and I completely missed whether the Celtics beat the Raptors in the playoffs in Game 7, and now I'm pissed about it. But anyway.
Sorry, Walsh. This is I'll talk to our scheduler, Macy, and see if we can make this work better in the future.
Yeah, no, that does not matter at all. What about the Giants for this? Do you have any plays that you like for them?
I mean, you're playing Saquon Barkley. I'm just looking at only 4 teams allowed fewer passing yards per game than the 2019 Steelers, and only 6 gave up fewer 20-plus yard completions. That doesn't look good for Slayton here. There's a chance Golden Tate goes, last I knew, but he's got hamstring nonsense going on. So do you know any more on him?
No, I do not have any more info on Golden Tate.
It's Ingram, I think, is the only one I'm interested in the passing game.
Yeah, it's Saquon and it's Ingram, and I feel like that's it. And I think that's going to be a common theme for the Giants because they have a really, really tough schedule to start the season. So
brutal. I mean, you got to get to week 5, maybe. I'm trying to look at what their schedule is.
It's something like that. And also, if you wanted to know, the Celtics won against the Raptors.
in case you were curious.
In case you were trying to go back in time to listen to this. But yes.
Well, hey, I mean, look, someone may wake up and start their day with Let's Talk Fantasy Football and not know. So here we go, Walsh.
True.
We're helping people across multiple sports. Never thought I'd see the day. Let's pick it. I'm taking the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm taking the Steelers.
Sweep it on through. Walsh, our last game of the week 1 preview. The Tennessee Titans at the Denver Broncos. Tennessee -2, over under of 41. Let's start on the Tennessee Titans side of the ball. Derrick Henry, slam dunk.
It's easy. It's like last year. It's Henry. It's AJ Brown, and it's Tannehill, and that's it. And it's worth noting that Von Miller got hurt leading up to this game, and before this game, the Broncos were a 1-point favorite, and then Von Miller got hurt, and it went to Tennessee a 2-point favorite. So we know that this is pretty much a pick'em with the defenses as it should be, but they're not. So. Yeah, it's Derrick Henry, it's AJ Brown, and then it's maybe Ryan Tannehill, but you don't need to start Tannehill, and I don't think you should start him in any sort of DFS contest because he does not get the requisite volume to make that worth it. You shouldn't try and fuck around with Jonnu Smith. You shouldn't try and fuck around with Corey Davis. What about the Denver side of the ball? What do you think there?
Well, the running game is fucked, right? Because Phillip Lindsay outplayed Melvin Gordon in camp. They were going to, I think, originally feature him, and now they're going to kind of split work. We're
going to find out this week.
Yeah, I mean, they're low floor, low ceiling flex guys right now, unfortunately. I think this week.
So to me, the only 2 guys on Denver that I'm interested in, and it's because KJ Hamler is obviously out, the guy who they drafted to play in the slot. He's out due to injury.
Courtland Sutton
and then Courtland Sutton is now injured as well. So to me, Judy becomes somewhat interesting.
Okay.
Due to that, just because someone's got to eat up those targets, right? And it might be Tim Patrick. Noah Fant, yes. Noah Fant's probably the correct answer. And again, at a position where we need people. So Noah Fant is probably the correct way to go. I'm getting a little bit too cute talking about Jerry Jeudy, I think. So let's go right to Noah Fant, where he's the guy that you really want to target this week, because where the fuck else are these targets going to go?
He's the only answer. He's the only good answer. That's it. I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, this game in general does not have a ton of fantasy juice to it. But again, if you are going to get fantasy juice out of it, Noah Fant is probably one of the guys to go to. not a person I'm playing in daily. Not a person like I'm really like trying to go for. But if you drafted him, which you might have, because there were people who liked Noah Fant late,
a lot of people did.
Then you're really in like the optimal situation for drafting him late, where Cortland Sutton's hurt, KJ Hamler's hurt, and you've got Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, and like Deshaun Hamilton, like kind of floating around there. So
that's it, Walshy. Nailed it. With that, I'm taking the Titans.
I'll take the Broncos.
All right, finish off with a split.
Drew Lock for MVP. Wait, no, never mind.
No, didn't you? Rookie. Year. I'm sorry. You were. That was Burrow. I was gonna say. I'm like, didn't you just bet on somebody else?
I did bet on Dak for MVP this year, so okay. I'm very excited about Dak. But...
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I own a lot of Dak, so that's a good thing. All good things. But guys, that does it for the week 1 preview. We are psyched to be here. Get your questions together, send them in, hit us up on Instagram. Seems to be the most responsive spot for us here so far this year. And we're looking forward to it. Walsh, you got anything for the people?
No, Macy says hit us up with questions, and I will continue to try and answer questions as best as I can, and I think the rest of us will as well. We love you. If you're on the West Coast, please stay inside, and that's about all I got.
Perfect, guys. That's it. So good luck in week 1, and we can't wait to do it all again next week. But until then, guys, I am Nick Schreck. He is Nick Walsh. We're Let's Talk Fantasy Football. We will catch you on the flip side.
This has been Let's Talk Fantasy Football. Thanks for listening.